Customer Experience Leadership Forum. My name is Vicki Lynn Brunskill with the Argyle Group, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. I just have some important information to share with you, and then I'll be happy to turn things over to our opening keynote speaker, Adhar Walia. First, we would like to thank our senior supporter, Relay Network, for their partnership with today's event. They've been wonderful partners to Argyle and are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booth from the main agenda page for this event, and their virtual booth includes complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. So be sure to click in. Thank you again, Relay Network. We appreciate you joining us today. We also welcome you to stay socially connected during today's event. For those of you who are active tweeters, please use the hashtag ArgyleCX and follow us on Twitter at Argyle Exec Forum. Also be sure to follow Argyle on LinkedIn for special announcements related to this and other digital events. Now, I'd just like to take a moment to touch on our content neutrality policy, which we've curated based on the feedback we received over the years from our members. Argyle is very proud and protective of this policy as it reflects our commitment to ensure the neutrality and overall value of the content presented at our events. We've worked closely with our speaking faculty to ensure that you receive a set of balanced and neutral viewpoints during the sessions today, and we appreciate our members' support of this policy. And finally, and most importantly, we do want to hear from you. So during each session, we encourage you to click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen to enter your questions and comments. Following each presentation, we have set aside time for our speakers to weigh in on those questions, and there will also be a survey link at the end of each session for you to provide feedback. Your opinions and your input are extremely valuable to us, so please take a moment to fill out the survey. Thank you again for joining us today for Argyle's Customer Experience Leadership Forum. Now, let's get started. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Adhar Walia, Product Management, Program Management, and Emerging Technologies Consultant at Starbucks. We are pleased to have Adhar with us to kick off the forum with his opening keynote presentation titled Machine Learning Gone Wild, Exceptional AI for CX Success. Welcome, Adhar, and over to you.
Thank you, Vicki, for that introduction. I'm really excited to be here today and share my thoughts on how AI and machine learning is impacting the world around us and how you can use AI to build exceptional experience for your customers. So let's get started. So I wanted to kick this off with a quote from Andrew Ng, who's an adjunct professor at Stanford University. He's led several AI initiatives at Stanford and other companies. So he thinks that AI is the new electricity. About 100 years ago, electricity changed how the world operated. It upended every single industry and had a profound impact on all of our lives. We believe that AI is poised to have a similar impact. In fact, I would argue that AI is already having an enormous impact on our day-to-day life. There are a lot of services that we use every day that are already being powered by AI. When you talk to Google or Alexa Assistant, for example, these agents use natural language processing and speech recognition technology to not only understand your speech and intent, but also accomplish complex tasks, such as you can place a call to a business and set up an appointment or order a pizza for you. It can all be done today. When you're navigating using Google Maps, these maps are able to do real-time navigation. They're able to predict traffic, calculate an estimated arrival time, estimated travel time, all of that using machine learning. Amazon and Netflix, they are great examples of services we use every day, and they are using machine learning to personalize your experience, whether it's the next product you want to buy or the next movie you want to watch. From email spam detection to social media, there are more and more products and services that are using AI, whether we realize it or not. Here's another quote from Forbes. AI has a potential by 2025. About 95% of customer interactions will be through the artificial intelligence channels. So huge potential in the next few years. And this statement was before COVID hit. With COVID, this pace of digital transformation and transformation to AI has only accelerated. So AI definitely has a huge potential to improve customer service. But before we get into that, let's talk about what is artificial intelligence. Here is one definition. There are multiple definitions of AI, but according to one definition, it is the set of technologies that enables machines like computer systems to perceive, think, and act in a way that simulates human-like behavior. So it's not exactly human behavior, but they try to simulate, and every day they're getting closer and closer to how humans think. And they are able to perceive data, think, which means taking data and making inferences based on that data, and then act. Without human intervention, without user intervention, they are able to act on that data and take actions based on what they learn and think from that data. Now, machine learning, it is used synonymously with artificial intelligence, but there is a subtle difference that I wanted to point out. Machine learning is actually a subfield. It's a branch of AI, and it allows computer systems to learn and act without being explicitly programmed. What that means is machine learning is able to learn from data. So if we throw a lot of data, historical data at a machine learning program or algorithm, it is able to understand and draw inferences, map the inputs to the output results. And then next time when it sees that same data in the same context, it is able to use the learning to act without being told what to do. So it uses the inference from the past data to really take the action based on the new data. So that's the machine learning, and it's a subset of artificial intelligence, which also includes more nuanced technologies like deep learning, neural networks, and so forth. But machine learning is really the most common application of AI that we see today across the board. So why use AI for customer experience? AI or machine learning has a huge potential to improve customer experience. In fact, 73% of customers say that a good experience is key in influencing their brand loyalties. And an almost equal percentage of users mention bad experience as a reason for churning from the brand. Customers want to interact with brands that they have emotional connection with. But how are the brands delivering on this promise? So today, brands actually have very inconsistent experiences because these experiences have been developed over time and starting from in person, in store, in retail, going over to web and then to mobile. These are teams within the company, so the experiences are distant. The channels are siloed. And then there's huge amounts of data that is untapped, customer data that sits in different systems within the companies, but is untapped and to really provide that best experience that the company can provide. So how can machine learning help here? So I'm going to be talking about a few different ways where machine learning can unleash the power of this data and help companies bring that great experience to users. So first one is predictive data analytics, which is where using the data that the company has, we can provide better customer experience and delight the customer. So today, customer, it's very complicated. It has too many touch points. It's becoming and it spans certainly multiple channels, multiple teams within the company, and also multiple in terms of timeline, multiple days or weeks or sometimes even months before user decides to go from phase. I mentioned in the last slide, a lot of these experiences are moving from in-person, non-digital to in-digital. Both the experience in terms of the channels that users interact with, as well as the data that's associated with it. And that transformation has only accelerated with COVID-19. Companies are really figuring out, the transformation, the changes that had to happen in the next 3 years. Now the companies have to figure out how to make that data transformation, how to make that channel and experience transformation in the next 3 months, 6 months. And customers are demanding a better experience, both pre-purchase as well as post-purchase. Right? So that's a big change that COVID-19 brought in, and a lot of companies are trying to figure out how to make that transition and give that customer experience to the users. Another transition that's been happening for quite a while is that users are generating a lot more data. Right? With the big data initiative, we see more and more data being generated from users through these connected apps and services. But then also with big data, we are capturing and storing more and more of this data. So 2.5 quintillion bytes of data generated each day. I don't even know how many zeros there are in quintillion. And this is not just big tech. There are small companies, mid-sized companies, all kind of businesses in all industries that have huge amounts of your customer data. But most of this data is currently not being used to get relevant insights. And that is where machine learning component of AI comes in. So machine learning combined with statistical modeling and traditional methods of analysis, they can help analyze user journey through different touch points. They can drive insights to provide the experience that users are looking for, and also create new business opportunities for companies. They can go through this enormous amount of data and cover new relationships that humans cannot. And maybe in some cases predict relationships that we might even not be aware of. Right? So those are all the things that we can do with machine learning. And while a lot of companies are using data insights today to do things like churn analysis, segmentation analysis, spot customer trends, but machine learning can actually supplement all of that. And in addition to looking at user behavior, machine learning can help analyze past and current data to uncover actionable predictive insights and predictive analytics. It can help us study behaviors and predict future behaviors from these customers. And once we know the future behaviors, we can, machine learning can allow brands to better engage their customers and take care of the problems in the entire user journey before they even happen. That is the power that machine learning brings, and that's the benefit that companies can get by augmenting their data analytics and data insights with machine learning. Right. So one good example of a company that's really honing in on predictive analytics and making good strides there is UPS. They're using predictive analytics in multiple areas of their business. They're using advanced algorithms to create optimal routes for delivery drivers from the data that a customer supplies to them, as well as the data that drivers and the vehicles share with them. So all of their vehicles and drivers and customers, all this data is combined together, and then they're able to optimize routes. They can also change the routes on the fly based on the changing weather conditions. If there are accidents or any other hazards, they're able to do that. Next thing they're also doing is they're doing predictive maintenance of their delivery vehicles. So using the data, they are predicting when their vehicles need maintenance. Instead of going with a regular schedule, they're able to do it more on a predictive basis to make sure their machines, their devices stay on route and are working properly. And they also use a set of network planning tools to optimize the flow of packages within the UPS network, right from a customer, puts the package in and the loading docks, and all the way to sorting in final destination. So they're applying predictive analytics in multiple areas of their business to optimize, everything related to maintenance and delivery and routes and all of that, right? So another area where machine learning is really being used is in actual product research and development. So product managers are leveraging machine learning to elevate the experience based on user data and insights. The one size fits all approach does not work anymore, and rather than understanding user needs from the past behavior, product managers are trying to anticipate user needs and fulfill their intent based on what they think they'll be doing in future. And so a lot of these products are shifting from that having one experience for all users or one experience for each segment and persona to really figuring out how they can create this experience and fulfill each individual user's intent. There's also a fundamental shift in behavior that's happening due to COVID-19. During COVID, less and less people want to use touch-based and in-person systems. So we'll have to design systems from the product point of view. We'll have to design systems that are touchless, that only rely on, like visual and voice instead of touch and in person. Systems that use, biometrics, facial recognition. So those are all the things that we have to think about moving forward as this user behavior shifts and we come out of the other side of COVID-19. And all of this product innovation, machine learning is and can be very heavily used in all this product development. In fact, a lot of these industry-specific solutions are being delivered today to their customers in various fields. So some examples here where AI and ML are solving these specific problems, whether it's early disease detection in healthcare or identifying at-risk patients in healthcare, or it's credit scoring and mortgage approval in finance and banking. There are numerous applications. Security, anomaly detection there, transportation, logistics. No matter which industry you are in, chances are there can be a part of your product or service itself that can offer customers experience that can truly delight them. So again, this is different from predictive analytics where you're looking at customer data and making decisions based on that. Here you're actually making AI and machine learning a part of your product itself and part of your service itself that you offer to customer. Right. So another area where machine learning can really help is doing user sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis is the way it works is you're able to use the technology like natural language processing and text analysis to extract information from text and measure the sentiment of a user towards a product or a service. Right? So you're able to extract the text from social media, from other sources, from reviews, any kind of text. You're able to extract the information and then see if the users are talking positively, negatively, what is the sentiment and how users are reacting to your product, right? And the sentiment data can be fed into, used again in a lot of different contexts. It can be fed into product development and can be the real voice of the customer. So in addition to the surveys and all other mechanisms that we use to bring in customer feedback, sentiment analysis could be a way to know what kind of products or features customers are really looking for, what kind of things they're talking about, right? And it can help in product development. It can also be used to reduce churn by understanding what issues the customers are talking about in the social media and addressing them proactively, right? So in addition to churn, customer service is also another beneficiary. So if customers are talking about certain features or certain things they like or don't like about the service or product, you can have that information handy when the customer calls in with an issue, on their product, and have customer service address that proactively before a customer, before it escalates or before customer even mentions it. Reputation management, that's another area where companies are using sentiment analysis. So what you can do is, if you're running your marketing campaigns or promotions, right after you do that, you can measure the customer sentiment to see how customers are reacting to those marketing campaigns. And that gives you, very instant feedback loop on what's working, what's not working, and helps you adjust course and manage your reputation and brand online. Similarly, market research and voice of customer analysis. You can use sentiment analysis to understand your own customers, understand their needs, and also understand your competitors. Getting a landscape of a technology area or competitive area, how customers are, what are the things that are relevant for customers, and how customers are reacting to your products and competitor products. So a good example is Expedia Canada. They launched a campaign called Escape Winter a few years back in Canada. The campaign was very successful. It created a lot of traction online. However, when the company looked at the sentiments of the comments that were mentioned by users, it turned out that many of them were negative. People hated the violent music they use in their commercial. And by monitoring the social sentiment and not just high-level metrics like mentions or shares or likes, they were able to course correct quickly. And they released a spin-off video that showed a character from the first video breaking the violin. And that really hit the chord with customers and helped Expedia improve their social sentiment and their brand. So another way companies are using using artificial intelligence is personalization. So a lot of companies, they use rule-based approaches and show products and messaging based on personas and segments. But personalization takes it a step further and leverages user data and preferences to infer what they might do, like, or what they might purchase next, right? So a good example is recommending a content, like Netflix does, recommending a content based on genre versus what you want to watch next based on your history or what what your preferences are. But it's not just limited to Netflix and Amazon. It can be applied, personalization can be applied to all kinds of products and all kinds of problems. Beyond personalization, other applications would be like ranking products. If you're an e-commerce company, for example, you can use personalization to rank products, sort products. There are searches. If you have a search-enabled product, it can be used for searches to really show customers, the top results in terms of what they're looking for and what their preferences are, right? So it can be used in a variety of different contexts. Obviously, Netflix, we're all familiar with it, but Netflix has taken personalization to a level where they know how many people are there in your household. They know who's watching TV, and they even know what your preferences are, right? In addition to showing you, what you like and what you might want to watch, like movie recommendations, they are also personalizing all the title images, all the descriptions, the trailers. So there's a lot more personalization than we even realize that's going on with Netflix interface. Right. Another great example of a company that's in a different industry and doing personalization is Stitch Fix. It's a designer website. And the way it works is when a user comes in and signs up for the website, they ask user to take a style quiz. And where user specifies their preferences of different styles and different clothing, and then they use the client data. They combine it with all these different attributes they have within the product and data that they get from their merchants, and all the feedback data from the customer to customize clothing shopping. And that has resulted in a very high customer satisfaction and very high stickiness for them from the user base who wants up to date latest styles and latest clothing. Right. So example of personalization in that context, which is very different from Netflix or Amazon that we're used to. And the last area I want to talk about, and the area that I'm really excited about today is voice AI. So we've all used bots in different contexts, but primarily to transform customer service. Bots are good in certain contexts where they are solving very simple customer problems or answering simple questions. But they have a high failure rate in terms of in case the customer deviates from the standard path. And a lot of these bots are not not very flexible and not failing very gracefully, right? So the alternative and the experience that the brands should be thinking about is using voice to deliver these experiences. So voice can really transform customer experience by making the interaction more personal, more natural, and engaging with the audience in a more natural way, and then use the best information that's available to solve customer problems, right? So a couple of examples again that are using voice to really transform the customer experience and then using it beyond customer experience. So Bank of America, for example, they have a voice activated assistant that helps with making financial decisions and navigate through their channels, right? Mercedes-Benz, that's a great example. They have integration with Google and Alexa platforms, but they've also built their own platform that that you can activate by saying, "Hey Mercedes," and you can interact with the device, with the car, while you're in the car and ask all kinds of questions similar to Google and Alexa platforms. Nike is another example. They have, believe it or not, Nike has integrated their shoes with Siri, and they have a digital coach which customers can interact with using their voice. They even have a shoe which can actually adjust to your foot, and they have a smart laces that can control and adjust based on your feet. So again, these are the examples how voice is being used not just for customer service, but really beyond that, and really delighting customer with the right experience and right interface. Right. In fact, voice opportunity, from Capgemini, they think 40% of customer interactions are going to happen over voice in the next few years, right? So it's not a question of, with AI, it's not a question of if or even a question of when. It's how your company needs to implement AI. And to help with that, this is a five-point strategy that I want to point out. So start with customer strategy, customer experience strategy, and vision. Define your vision. Map and analyze your customer journey. Understand what the customer touch points are, what the key problems and issues are, and then use AI to analyze the data, harness your data and transform the data, and use AI to solve these customer problems. And then once you know that, once you decide to do that, then figure out how to use AI, what problems you want to solve, whether you want to build or buy, and cater to customer needs to offer them what they want, when they want, and how they want it. And then eventually, measure your success. See how you're doing against your performance metrics, how well your AI models and algorithms are performing. And then the last thought I want to leave you with is some pitfalls to avoid, right? So the first one is, again, focus on your goal. Start with customer empathy, customer problems, and customer needs, identifying what problem you're trying to solve with AI. A lot of companies end up investing in AI because they get excited, they want to do something in AI, they end up investing, and then it turns out into a long project, a lot of resources, and does not meet the results. So the key is don't do AI for AI's sake. Machine learning is good to solve certain problems, but analyze your customer problems and see if machine learning is the right way for you to solve that problem. And then once you decide to do machine learning, do not over automate it. it's much harder to get that last mile perfection with your models, as opposed to going from 50 to 90%, for example, or 70 to 90%. So know when to stop and have your business goals and metrics in mind, and do the right level of AI that can help your business and help you stand out and delight your customer. So I think with that, we're out of time. I believe you can ask questions for the next couple of minutes, which I believe Vicky would be moderating. So happy to answer any questions that the audience has.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adhar. That was an excellent presentation. As a reminder, audience members, you can enter questions by clicking the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. And we're going to review now some of the questions that came in during the conversation. The first question, Adhar, is there seems to be a high level of expectation about how automated machine learning can be, Can you please comment on the role that model specification plays? My assumption is that a significant amount of technical skill is needed to be able to build the models.
Right, that's a great question, Vicky. So I think there are a couple of things here. There is the model itself, and then there is also the data that goes with the model. And then the third thing is the actual context where this machine is going to be used, the actual workflow. So I think all those three have to be combined. We have to, again, go back to the customer problem, understand these different problems, then collect and manage all the data that we're going to use to build these models or train these models. And then third part is going and building the models. So yes, building the model is can be complex depending on whether you're trying to build in-house or whether you're trying to buy your partner. There are a lot of models if you use frameworks and ecosystems like Amazon, AWS, or Google. A lot of models can be pre-built. But if you have a very specific use case and complicated model, then it could take a specialized artificial intelligence engineer or machine learning engineer to build that model. But a lot of companies, I think a lot of time when you do AI is not actually spent in building models, because like I said, a lot of companies, you should try and leverage as much as you can from these pre-built models. But you'll probably spend a lot more data in collecting, harnessing, and getting the data ready, having the right data to train those models.
Thank you so much. We have a question that just came in. We might have about a minute to answer it. How do we find AI systems to review?
Yeah, so I think a great way to start is just learning a little bit more about AI, and understanding what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and which AI system would be, which kind of bucket your problem falls in. Is it, predictive problem? You're trying to personalize, you're trying to, automate something. So once you understand that, I think a good way to do it is start looking at, again, one of these big ecosystems. I think Google, Amazon, Microsoft, these are systems where they have a lot of pre-built models already. And maybe even, if you're technical, start playing around with some of these models online. Like a lot of these, simple models you can build even without any programming. But I think that'll give you some context of what models are out there. And then from there, you can start your research, and you can also go into more personalized systems and models, which build on top of some of these bigger platforms. And maybe are handling and specific problem for a specific industry as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that answer. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for this fantastic session. Adhar's keynote presentation, along with all of today's sessions, will be available on demand for the following week. And our next session will begin shortly at 11:35 a.m. Eastern Time, and that will be a panel discussion titled "Oh, the Humanity, Building a Post-Pandemic Framework of Trust for Customer Growth." Your browser will automatically redirect you to the next session, and we look forward to seeing you there. And thank you again, Adhar.
Thank you.